In this video, I'm going to show you how to cook a Boston butt pulled pork on the Kamado Joe Jr. even when it's raining. So I've got a beautiful Boston butt here. It's courtesy of Gridiron Meat Company. Thanks guys, an amazing piece of pork from the shoulder. It's a native breed, so you got really good fat, marbling and such like throughout the meat. You really got to treat it well. So I'm going to cook this today for about 6 hours on the Kamado Joe Jr. So first of all, I need to put a rub on it. So I'm going to just start off by getting a little bit of mustard, rubbing that in all over. Next thing to do is to get my barbecue spice mix and absolutely cover the whole of that. So this is going to, when it cooks down, it's going to create a bark on the outside of the on Boston butt. Get all of that on, and that's got to basically coat the whole piece. Look at that, beautiful. Yeah, so I'm now just going to leave this to rest for about 10-15 minutes whilst I go and spark up the Kamado Joe. So my Kamado Joe Jr. is at exactly 300 degrees. This is where I want it for this slow cook. Burning nicely inside. You can see I've got the bottom bent open by about 1 to 2 centimeters. Currently the daisy wheel on top is closed, but the holes are fully open, and I'll just keep an eye on those as we come up to temperature, just to make sure we stay at 300 to the first part of this cook. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to open that up, smoking nicely, put in my deflector. Deflector and the grill there. You'll also notice I've got a little tray in there, a little silver tray, just a cheap foil one, just to catch any of the fat that comes off, so it doesn't all go down into the bottom of the Joe Jr. Because as you can see, that is a big piece of meat. And we just want that to cook nicely. So there we go. Close the lid. That should just fit under the lid nicely, and we'll come back to that in a couple of hours when hopefully the bark's formed and the internal temperature is at about 160, which is where we want it to be. So we'll be back in a couple of hours. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep a check on the temperature and make sure it stays at 300. So we're just going to check on our Boston butt. It's been in there at 300 for about 2.5 hours now. See how it's going? Whoa. Yeah, it's got a really good crust on that. So it's time to wrap it in foil and pop it back in. So we've wrapped the Boston butt in foil, because one of the keys to a good pulled pork is steam. So now it's got that crust on it. We've double wrapped it in foil. It's going to cook again for another 3, maybe 4 hours until it goes really soft and tender. So our Boston butt has just come off the Kamado. Looks pretty amazing. And we've tested it with the meat probe for the internal temperature, but also so that it's probe soft, so we know when you push that in it just comes out nice and easily. That's how you can tell that it's done. So I'm just going to transfer it to a different dish to rest in. So let's try and get the whole thing up and in. As you can see, it's already starting to fall apart. just going to wrap that in foil. Same foil I used before. And then you need to keep it warm for as long as you can. So I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put it in there for a good couple of hours. Walking it back to it just to let it rest, steam, and get really lovely and soft. So in that goes. So sitting on top of a towel. Then I'll put another towel on top. Pack it all in so it stays nice and warm. Leave that in there so for a good couple of hours, and then it'll be ready to eat. Finally, the pork is ready. Here we go. It just pulls apart. Beautiful Boston butt. Thank you to the guys at Gridiron Meat. Beautiful piece of meat from one of their native breeds in Yorkshire. We're going to enjoy this tonight. Look at that. That is absolutely incredible. I wish you could smell this. Oh my God, it smells so good. I'm having it with pimento potatoes with garlic and rosemary, and a lovely coleslaw with a vinaigrette mustardy dressing. Delish. Do you think the dog will have some?
Oops. Yes!
Caramel.
Give it to him!
Okay. This is for you. Good boy.
Aww.
Aww.